Jin-Ho looked up at the night sky and saw the strange light. It had been there for 3 days now. Not a star or a plane, but something else. Something that made world leaders nervous. He never expected to be called. Jin-Ho was just a linguist who worked at Seoul National University. But when the aliens finally made contact, governments around the world scrambled to find people who might understand. "We need people who can think differently about language," his boss had told him. "The military has translators. We need dreamers." Now Jin-Ho sat in a cold room with 20 other specialists from around the world. They all watched screens showing the alien ship that hovered above the Pacific Ocean. It was smooth and oval, with no visible windows or doors. "They call themselves the Darrow," said General Park, pointing to a symbol on the screen. "At least, that's what we think they're saying." The communication had been basic so far. Simple pictures and sounds transmitted back and forth. The aliens seemed peaceful, but caution ruled every decision. "Tomorrow, they will land," the general continued. "A small craft will touch down at the neutral meeting point. 6 of you will join the welcome team." Jin-Ho's heart beat faster when he heard his name called. He would be one of the 6. That night, he couldn't sleep. He studied the limited information they had about the alien language. It seemed to use tones and rhythm in ways no human language did. He recorded himself trying different patterns until sunrise. The landing site was a flat area of concrete built specially for this moment. Jin-Ho stood with 5 others, a mathematician, a physicist, a biologist, a diplomat, and a military officer. They all wore white jumpsuits with no national symbols. When the small craft descended, it made no sound. It simply appeared in the sky and then settled onto the ground. For 5 minutes, nothing happened. Jin-Ho felt sweat running down his back, despite the cool morning air. Then, a section of the craft's side simply disappeared, revealing 3 figures. The Darrow were not what anyone expected. They stood on 2 legs like humans, but their bodies were thinner and taller. Their skin looked like polished copper, and their faces had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Where a human mouth would be, they had something like a small trunk that moved as they made sounds. The diplomat stepped forward with a translator device. It had been programmed with everything humans had learned so far. "Welcome to Earth," she said, and the device produced a series of tones and clicks. The aliens responded, but their sounds were different from what the machine expected. The translator flashed an error message. They tried again with the same result. Jin-Ho felt the moment slipping away. The aliens' body language, if you could call it that, showed signs of frustration. Their upper eyes blinked rapidly. Without asking permission, Jin-Ho stepped forward. He had brought his own small device, not a translator, but a simple tone generator he had programmed the night before. He played a sequence he had created based on his studies, then pointed to himself. "Jin-Ho," he said clearly. The aliens went still. Then the one in the middle stepped closer. It made a sound and pointed to itself. "Ril," it seemed to say. Jin-Ho smiled and played another sequence on his device. This one represented Earth, based on what he guessed might be their mathematical understanding of tones. He then pointed down at the ground. The alien named Ril made a sound that might have been excitement. It turned to its companions and made rapid sounds. Then it took out an object from somewhere in its clothing. The object projected a hologram of stars. A map. Ril pointed to one star, then to itself. Then it pointed to another star, clearly our sun, and then to Jin-Ho. "Yes," Jin-Ho said, nodding. "You come from there. We are here." For the next hour, Jin-Ho and Ril built a rudimentary communication system using tones, gestures, and drawings. The official translator device sat unused as Jin-Ho's simple approach created a bridge between worlds. Later, when they returned to the base, General Park was both impressed and frustrated. "You broke protocol," he said to Jin-Ho, "but you also made more progress in an hour than our computers did in days." That night, Jin-Ho was moved to a new team, one focused entirely on developing his method into a working language system. The Daro, it seemed, understood music and mathematics in ways that aligned with their speech. They didn't form words like humans did, but rather concepts expressed through patterns. "They're surprised by us," Jin-Ho told his new team. "I could see it in their reactions. They didn't expect us to adapt so quickly." A week later, when the first official meeting between human leaders and Daro representatives took place, Jin-Ho sat next to Ril. They had developed a system where Jin-Ho could translate the general meaning of what was said on both sides. The Daro have visited 12 other worlds with intelligent life. Jin-Ho translated as Ril spoke, but none have learned to communicate with them as quickly as humans have. The human delegates looked pleased, but Jin-Ho sensed something more in Ril's tone patterns, something like worry or concern. When he asked about it privately, Ril showed him another star map. This one showed many more stars and systems. Others out there. Jin-Ho understood from Ril's explanation. Not all are friendly. That night, looking up at the stars again, Jin-Ho realized that Earth's first contact was just the beginning. The universe was more crowded than humans had imagined, and the Daro had come with a purpose that went beyond simple greeting. They needed something from Earth, and Jin-Ho would soon learn what that was. 3 weeks after first contact, Hei-Yun stood before the Council of Six. She had never imagined herself in this position. Before the aliens came, she had been a tactical advisor for the Korean military. Now she represented all of Earth. The chamber was inside the main Daro ship, which now rested on the ocean floor near Hawaii. The room was circular with walls that seemed to shift colors with the mood of the conversation. 6 alien representatives sat in curved chairs, 5 Daro, and one being from another species Hei-Yun had never seen before. "We face a decision," said Ril, the Daro who had first spoken with Jin-Ho. Jin-Ho himself stood nearby, using his tone system to translate. Earth must be evaluated before full alliance membership. Hei-Yun nodded. The past weeks had revealed much. The Daro were part of a galactic alliance of 12 species. Their arrival on Earth wasn't random. They were searching for new allies against a growing threat from the outer systems. "The evaluation has 3 challenges," Ril continued. "Strategy, adaptation, and cooperation. You will represent your world." "Why me?" Hei-Yun asked. "I'm not a diplomat or a scientist." "Your mind patterns interest us," answered Ril. "You think in ways different from others we interviewed." Hei-Yun wasn't sure if that was a compliment. She had been chosen after the aliens scanned hundreds of humans. Something in her brain activity had caught their attention. "The first challenge begins tomorrow," Ril said. "You will compete against representatives from 3 other candidate worlds." When Hei-Yun returned to the human quarters, she found a man waiting for her. He stood looking out the window at the strange underwater landscape illuminated by the ship's exterior lights. "I'm Sung-Min," he said, turning to her. "They assigned me as your technical advisor." Sung-Min was an engineer who had been studying the Daro technology. He was younger than Hei-Yun, with quick eyes that seemed to analyze everything. "Do you know what these challenges involve?" she asked. "Not exactly," Sung-Min replied, "but I've seen some of their testing equipment. It's like nothing on Earth." The next morning, Hei-Yun entered a large chamber where 3 other beings waited. One looked like a tall insect with 4 arms. Another resembled a reptile standing upright. The third was almost human-like, but with pale blue skin and no visible nose. Ril entered with 2 other Daro. "The first challenge tests strategic thinking," he announced. "Each candidate must direct their forces to secure objectives while adapting to changing conditions." The center of the room transformed into a 3-dimensional battlefield. It wasn't a screen or hologram. Somehow the space itself became the simulation. Hei-Yun could see tiny units representing different types of forces. "This simulates a real conflict from our history," Ril explained. "You will each control forces with different strengths and weaknesses. Heiyun's units appeared to be the weakest in conventional terms. They had less power and slower movement than the others. She studied the terrain and noticed something the others seemed to overlook. The environment itself could be used as an advantage. As the simulation began, the other candidates moved their forces directly toward the objectives. Their strategies were straightforward and powerful. Heiyun took a different approach. "What are you doing?" Some men whispered from behind her. "They're going to reach the objectives before us." "Watch," Heiyun said. Instead of heading directly to the targets, she positioned her units near environmental features: a mountain range, a narrow valley, and a river system. When the other forces approached the objectives, Heiyun triggered her trap. Her units diverted the river, causing a flash flood that caught the reptilian candidates' forces. They used the mountain pass to ambush the insect forces. The blue humanoids' units were stronger, but Heiyun had studied their movement patterns and predicted where they would go. By the end of the simulation, Heiyun had secured 2 of the 5 objectives, while causing the other candidates to fight each other over misunderstandings she had deliberately created. The Daro observed silently. When the simulation ended, Ril approached Heiyun. "You controlled the weakest units," he said, "yet you succeeded where others failed. Explain." "In Earth's history," Heiyun replied, "we learned that direct force isn't always the answer. Sometimes understanding the environment and your opponent's psychology matters more." The Daro conferred among themselves. "Surprising," Ril finally said. "Most candidates tried overpower. You chose deception and environmental manipulation. Is that wrong?" Heiyun asked. "Not wrong. Different. The second challenge begins tomorrow." Later, in their quarters, some men helped Heiyun study the alien technology they would face next. "The other candidates have seen these devices before," some men said. "Their species have had contact with the Alliance for years. We're at a disadvantage." Heiyun looked at the strange mechanisms. "Then we need to think differently again. Tell me how these work." Some men explained what he had learned about Daro technology. It used principles that Earth scientists had barely theorized about. "The adaptive challenge will test how quickly you can learn to use alien tools and solve problems with them," he said. That night, Heiyun couldn't sleep. She felt the weight of Earth's future on her shoulders. If she failed, humanity might be deemed unworthy of Alliance protection. As she stared at the ceiling, she realized something important. The Daro weren't just testing skills. They were testing human nature itself. They wanted to see how humans thought, how they approached problems. "We don't need to be like them," she whispered to herself. "We need to show them why being human is valuable." The next morning, as she prepared for the second challenge, Jinho came to see her. "I've been talking more with Ril," he said. "I think I understand what they're looking for. The Alliance needs diversity of thought. They face an enemy that thinks in ways they can't predict." Heiyun nodded. "And they want to see if humans think differently enough to be useful." "Exactly," Jinho said. "So be yourself. That's our strength." Heiyun entered the challenge chamber with new determination. The Daro and the other candidates were waiting. On a table lay devices unlike anything she had ever seen. "The adaptation challenge begins now," Ril announced. Heiyun stepped forward, ready to show them what humans could do. The adaptation challenge began with 5 strange devices laid out before each candidate. Heiyun studied them carefully. One looked like a sphere with shifting patterns on its surface. Another resembled a glove with too many fingers. The third was a cube that occasionally changed color. The fourth appeared to be some kind of headset. The fifth defied description. It seemed to change shape when she wasn't looking directly at it. The insect-like alien immediately picked up the devices and began manipulating them with practiced movements. The blue humanoid and reptilian beings also seemed familiar with the technology, though less confident. "Each device solves a different problem," Ril explained. "Together, they can be used to stabilize the energy pattern displayed before you." In the center of the room, A holographic display showed a swirling energy field. It pulsed with unstable patterns, occasionally flaring dangerously. "You have 1 hour," Rill concluded. Hei-Yun hesitated. The other candidates were already working, connecting devices, and making adjustments. She glanced at Sung-min, who stood in the observation area. He gave her an encouraging nod. She picked up the sphere first, turning it slowly in her hands. Unlike the other candidates, who immediately tried to make the devices work, Hei-Yun took time to understand them. She noticed how the patterns on the sphere changed when she moved her fingers across it. "It responds to touch patterns," she muttered to herself. After examining each device, Hei-Yun realized something the others hadn't. The devices weren't meant to be used by one person alone. They were designed for collaboration. While the other candidates struggled alone with their equipment, Hei-Yun approached the reptilian being. "We should work together," she said, with Jin-Ho translating nearby. The reptilian looked surprised but refused with a sharp gesture. The insect-like being didn't even acknowledge her. Only the blue humanoid showed interest. "Why?" the blue being asked through its own translator. "These devices complement each other," Hei-Yun explained. "Look at the energy patterns. They mirror the connection points on the devices." The blue being, who called itself Tal, considered this. After a moment, it agreed to try Hei-Yun's approach. Together, they made more progress in 10 minutes than either had made alone. Hei-Yun's understanding of patterns combined with Tal's technical knowledge created an effective team. They figured out that the headset didn't just receive information. It transmitted the wearer's thoughts to the other devices. This isn't just technology, Hei-Yun realized. It's technology designed to respond to different types of minds working together. The insect being noticed their progress and reluctantly joined them. Only the reptilian continued to work alone, growing increasingly frustrated. With 30 minutes left, the three working together had stabilized half of the energy pattern. Hei-Yun suggested they invite the reptilian once more. "We need 4 different minds," she explained. "The pattern has 4 distinct components." This time, seeing their progress, the reptilian joined them. Each candidate now wore one device and operated another with their hands. Working together, following Hei-Yun's coordination, they stabilized the energy pattern just as time expired. Rill and the other Duro observed silently. When the challenge ended, they conferred among themselves. "Interesting," Rill finally said. "3 of you have seen similar technology before, yet you could not solve the problem alone." The human, who has never seen our technology, identified its true purpose. "The devices were designed for cooperation," Hei-Yun explained. "Different minds working together create something greater than what any could achieve alone." Rill nodded. "This is the principle of our alliance. No single species can overcome the challenges that face us. Only together do we have a chance." After the challenge, Sung-min joined Hei-Yun in the human quarters. His eyes were bright with excitement. "That was brilliant," he said. "You didn't try to master the technology. You mastered its purpose." Hei-Yun smiled. "I couldn't have done it without understanding the technical aspects you explained to me last night. The way their technology integrates with consciousness. It's not something we would develop on Earth. Not yet, anyway," Sung-min said. "But we could. That's what I've been studying." He showed her his notes and diagrams about Duro technology. While others had focused on what the technology did, Sung-min had been trying to understand how it worked. "Their devices respond to emotional states as much as to logical commands," he explained. "It's like they built empathy into their machines." Hei-Yun saw the connections immediately. "That's why the headset worked better when I felt connected to the others. It wasn't just reading my thoughts, it was reading my feelings about the team." That night, Rill came to speak with them. The alien seemed more open now, less formal. "Your approach surprised us," Rill admitted. "Most new species try to prove their individual worth. You immediately sought cooperation." "It seemed obvious," Hei-Yun said. "The problem was too complex for one mind to solve." "Not obvious to others," Rill replied. "The final challenge tomorrow will test this quality further." After Ril left, Hei-yun and Sung-min walked through the ship's observation deck. Through the transparent walls, they could see the ocean life swimming past, curious about the alien vessel. "What do you think the final challenge will be?" Sung-min asked. "Something unexpected," Hei-yun said. "They're not just testing our abilities. They're testing our adaptability, our creativity, our humanity," Sung-min added. Hei-yun nodded. "I think that's what they're really interested in. Not our technology or our resources, but our way of thinking." As they watched the sea creatures swimming in patterns around the ship, Hei-yun had an idea. "Can you access the ship's information systems?" she asked. Sung-min nodded. "Some parts of it. They've given us limited access. Show me everything you can find about the threat they're facing, the reason they need new allies." For hours, they pored over the information available. Most was vague, describing an expanding force from the outer systems that had already destroyed 2 civilizations allied with the Duro. "They don't think like us," Hei-yun murmured, reading the reports. "They don't think like any alliance species. That's why they need humans," Sung-min realized. "We're unpredictable to them." Hei-yun smiled. "Exactly. And tomorrow, we'll show them just how unpredictable we can be." As they prepared for sleep, a message arrived from Ril. "The final challenge begins at dawn. It will not be what you expect." Hei-yun wasn't worried anymore. Being unexpected was humanity's specialty. The final challenge never came. Instead, alarms blared throughout the ship, waking Hei-yun from a restless sleep. Red lights pulsed along the corridors as she rushed to the command center, where she had been told to report in case of emergency. Sung-min met her halfway. "Something's happening," he said, his voice tight with worry. "The Daro are in full defensive mode." When they reached the command center, they found chaos. Daro officers moved quickly between stations while holographic displays showed multiple objects approaching Earth's orbit. Ril spotted them and hurried over. "The tests are suspended," the alien said, its voice pattern reflecting urgency that even Hei-yun could recognize. "We face a real crisis now." "What's happening?" Hei-yun asked. "The Vex have found us," Ril replied. "The enemy we spoke of. They must have followed our ship to your world." Jin-ho appeared with another human, a military strategist named Do-hyun, who had been working with the defense teams. Do-hyun's expression was grim as he studied the tactical displays. 3 Vex ships, Do-hyun explained to Hei-yun. "Larger than the Daro vessel. They're positioning themselves in high orbit." "Is this an invasion?" Hei-yun asked. Ril made a gesture that Jin-ho had learned meant uncertainty. "The Vex do not invade in the way you might think. They transform. They change worlds to suit themselves, regardless of existing life." The main display showed 3 dark ships, angular and threatening compared to the smooth curves of Daro design. They had taken position in a triangle formation above Earth. "They will begin by disrupting communication systems," Ril continued. "Then they will send probes to analyze your biosphere. Within days, they will begin atmospheric modification." Do-hyun stepped forward. "I've been studying your records of previous Vex encounters," he said. "Their strategy has a pattern." The Daro commander turned to Do-hyun with surprise. "Pattern? The Vex are chaos. That is why they are so difficult to predict." "No system is completely without pattern," Do-hyun insisted. "May I?" He gestured to the control panel. After a moment's hesitation, the commander granted him access. Do-hyun brought up records of previous Vex attacks on Alliance worlds. "Look here," he said, pointing to data streams. "And here. And here. They always position their ships in the same formation relative to the planet's magnetic field. They always begin with the same sequence of atmospheric testing." The Daro commander studied the information. "We never noticed this consistency. Humans are pattern seekers," Hei-yun explained. "Sometimes we see connections others miss." A new alarm sounded. One of the Daro officers reported, Energy buildup in the lead Vex vessel. They are preparing to fire. Our shields cannot withstand a concentrated attack from all three ships, the commander said. We must retreat and call for Alliance reinforcements. That would leave Earth defenseless, Sung Min protested. Hei-Yun looked at Do-Hyun, seeing the concentration in his eyes. You have an idea, she said. Do-Hyun nodded. Based on the pattern, I think the Vex ships communicate in sequence, not simultaneously. They're powerful individually, but they coordinate in a specific order. He pointed to the tactical display. If we can disrupt the lid ship at the exact moment it transmits instructions to the others, we might create confusion in their attack sequence. That evening, after hours of discussions, Jun stood on the research center's roof, staring at the stars. Sue joined him, handing him a fresh coffee. Thinking about our new blue friends, she asked. I'm thinking about what Tay said. They visited 27 worlds before finding us. What makes humans so special? Sue sipped her coffee. Maybe we're not as advanced as they are, but we're survivors. Our DNA shows it. We've adapted to everything this planet has thrown at us. And now we might help another species survive, Jun said quietly. It's a big responsibility. It's what we do best. Solve problems. Help others. A soft light appeared in the sky. The Navi ship in orbit. Tomorrow we start, Jun said. I never imagined my research would extend beyond our world. It's exciting, Sue said. Scary, but exciting. Jun nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. Tomorrow, they would begin the most important work of their lives, proving that humanity, despite all its flaws, had something valuable to offer the stars. 3 weeks after the Navi arrived, Dr. Jun Kim's lab had transformed completely. New equipment lined the walls, some of it clearly not of Earth origin. Holograms displaying complex genetic patterns floated in the air. Jun stood in the center, comparing human DNA sequences with the damaged Navi genetic code. Look at this section here, Jun said to Sue, pointing to a glowing blue strand. Human DNA has this repair mechanism that the Navi DNA lacks. Sue nodded, tapping notes into her tablet. It's like their genetic code forgot how to fix itself. Tai entered the lab, moving with that strange fluid grace all Navi possessed. Any progress today, Dr. Kim? Yes, I think so, Jun replied. Human DNA contains certain repair sequences that might work with your genetic structure. The compatibility is remarkable. Tay's large eyes blinked slowly. We have a theory about that. Long ago, our ancestors may have visited Earth. There could be a distant connection between our species. That would explain the compatibility, Sue said, but it raises more questions than answers. The lab door slid open and Bo rushed in, looking agitated, an unusual display of emotion for a Navi. Tai, we have received a transmission from the Council, Bo said urgently. They are concerned about our methods. Tay's posture stiffened. What concerns? Many Council members believe accepting help from humans is inappropriate. They question why a less advanced species should solve our most critical problem. Jun tried not to feel insulted. Pride won't save your people, he said simply. Tay turned to him. You are right, Dr. Kim. But many of my people believe accepting human help will make us dependent on your species. There's more, Bo added. A group called the Pure Path is gaining support. They oppose any genetic solution that involves other species. Sue frowned. So they'd rather die out than accept our help. Essentially, yes, Bo replied. They believe our genetic decline is natural and should not be interfered with. Had a silvery blue hand touched a holographic display, bringing up new data. We must show results quickly. The Council is divided, but evidence of success will change minds. That night, as June worked late, Ambassador Hannah visited the lab. She looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. The situation is getting complicated, she said, accepting the coffee June offered. The Earth government is nervous. Some officials worry about sharing advanced genetic science with aliens. That's ridiculous, Jun said. The Navy are sharing technology centuries ahead of ours. Fear doesn't always make sense, Hannah replied. Both sides have extremists who oppose cooperation. Jun gestured to his research. We're close to a breakthrough. Look at this. He showed her a simulation of human genetic repair sequences working on damaged Navi DNA. The broken strands slowly rebuilt themselves. It works in the simulation, Jun explained. We need to test it on actual Navi cells. Be careful, Jun, Hannah warned. This research is becoming political. Some powerful people on both planets would prefer it to fail. The next day, Du brought samples of Navi reproductive cells for testing. The tall alien doctor watched anxiously as Jun prepared the first trial. Dr. Jun Kim sat at his desk, eyes fixed on the genetic sequence displayed on his screen. The lad was quiet except for the soft hum of equipment. He rubbed his tired eyes and reached for his coffee cup. Another late night, Jun? Asked Dr. Sue Park, his research partner, as she entered the lab. You know how it is. This gene therapy won't develop itself, Jun replied with a small smile. Suddenly, the lab's security system chimed. The main door slid open to reveal Director 1, looking unusually tense. Dr. Kim, Dr. Park, please come with me immediately. We have visitors. Jun and Sue exchanged puzzled glances before following Director 1 to the conference room. Through the glass walls, Jun could see several figures seated at the table. His heart skipped a beat when he realized they weren't human. 3 tall beings with silvery blue skin sat perfectly still. Their large, almond-shaped eyes followed Jun's movement as he entered the room. Beside them sat a woman in a crisp diplomatic uniform. Dr. Kim, Dr. Park, I'm Ambassador Hannah Lee from Earth Diplomatic Corps, the woman said, standing to greet them. Thank you for joining us on such short notice. Jun couldn't take his eyes off the aliens. They were humanoid but clearly not human. Slender limbs, elongated fingers, no visible hair, and those eyes. Deep and dark, with a wisdom that seemed ancient. These are representatives from the Navi, Hannah continued. This is Supreme Scientist Ta, Cultural Liaison Bo, and Medical Director Du. The tallest Navi inclined its head. We are honored to meet you, Dr. Kim. Your work in genetic repair has reached our attention. Jun was startled by the perfect Korean accent. You speak our language. We have studied Earth extensively, Tae replied. Your species is unique in ways you may not understand. Director 1 gestured for everyone to sit. The Navi contacted our government 3 days ago. This meeting has been cleared at the highest levels. Hannah nodded. The Navy have traveled 17 light years to meet with you specifically, Dr. Kim. Their species faces a crisis. Tae's large eyes blinked slowly. Our population is dying, Dr. Kim. For the past century, our birth rates have declined sharply. Our children are born with increasing genetic defects. Despite our advanced technology, we cannot solve this problem. Bo, the smallest of the 3 Navi, added, we have visited 27 worlds with intelligent life. None possess the genetic solution we seek. Until we found Earth, Du said, your species shows remarkable genetic adaptability and resilience. Jun leaned forward. I'm not sure I understand. You're saying human DNA might help your species survive. Precisely, Ta said. Our scientists have analyzed samples from your world. Human genetic material contains sequences that might repair our damaged code. Sue spoke up for the first time. How did you get human samples? The 3 Navy exchanged looks. Hannah cleared her throat. The Navy have been observing Earth for decades. They've collected specimens. Without permission, Jun asked, suddenly uncomfortable. Tae's expression remained unreadable. We apologize for this intrusion. We were desperate, but we now seek formal collaboration. Director 1 pushed a tablet toward Jun. They shared their research. Look at this. Jun scrolled through complex genetic diagrams. Even with his limited understanding of alien biology, he could see the similarities between certain human genes and the Navi genetic structure. "This is why we've come," Ta said, "to ask for your help, openly and respectfully. Our species faces extinction within 3 generations without intervention." Su studied the data. "The compatibility is remarkable, almost as if our species were somehow related." Ta finished. "We have considered this possibility. Perhaps our ancestors crossed paths long ago." Director 1 leaned forward. "The government has authorized a joint research project. The Navi will share technology in exchange for your expertise." Jun felt overwhelmed. "This morning I was working on curing genetic disorders in humans. Now you want me to save an alien species." Hana smiled sympathetically. "It's a lot to process, Dr. Kim, but this could be the most important scientific collaboration in human history." The 3 navies stood simultaneously, moving with strange grace. Tai approached Jun and extended a long-fingered hand. "Will you help us, Dr. Kim? Will your species share its unique gifts with ours?" Jun hesitated, then shook Ta's hand. The alien's skin was cool and smooth. "I'll do what I can," he said. The Doro commander seemed skeptical. "How would we time such an attack? And with what weapons? Our ship is not designed for offensive operations." Some men stepped forward. "What about the adaptation devices from yesterday's challenge? They manipulate energy patterns. Could they be modified to create a targeted disruption pulse?" The commander turned to a Doro scientist who had been observing the tests. After a brief discussion in their own language, the scientist nodded. "Theoretically possible," the scientist said, "but it would require precise targeting and timing." "I can calculate that," Du Hyun said confidently, "based on their previous attack patterns." Hei Yun felt the weight of the moment. Earth's first contact with alien life was now becoming Earth's first interstellar conflict. She looked at the 3 humans in the room: Jin Ho the linguist, Sung Min the engineer, and Du Hyun the strategist. Each brought different skills, different ways of thinking. "Let us help," she said to the Doro commander. "This is our world too." After a tense discussion among the Doro leadership, the commander agreed. "We have limited time. The Vex will complete positioning within 2 hours." They worked frantically. Sung Min and the Daro scientists modified the adaptation devices to produce a focused energy pulse. Du Hyun analyzed Vex attack patterns to predict the exact moment of vulnerability. Jin Ho helped coordinate between teams, his translation skills proving vital as technical terms flew back and forth. Hei Yun moved between groups, seeing connections others missed. She noticed how Sung Min's modifications aligned with Du Hyun's timing calculations in ways neither had recognized. "We need to synchronize these systems," she said, bringing the teams together. "The pulse needs to match the exact frequency Du Hyun has identified." As they worked, the Vex ships completed their formation. The lead ship began powering its main weapon, a beam that could penetrate deep into Earth's atmosphere. "Energy levels rising," a Daro officer reported. "Estimated firing time in 3 minutes." The modified device was ready, but untested. It consisted of the 5 adaptation challenge components linked to the ship's main power system. Sung Min's hands moved quickly over the connections, making final adjustments. 2 minutes, the officer counted down. Do Hyun positioned himself at the targeting controls. "I need to time this perfectly," he said. "They'll begin their command sequence 5 seconds before firing." 1 minute. Hei Yun stood beside the Doro commander, watching the holographic display of the 3 Vex ships. Earth hummed below them, beautiful and vulnerable. 30 seconds. Jin Ho joined them. "Whatever happens," he said quietly, "humans and Doro worked together. That means something." 10 seconds. Sung Min gave a thumbs up. The device was ready. 5 seconds. Do Hyun's fingers hovered over the controls. Command sequence initiating. Now. He activated the device. A pulse of energy, invisible but powerful, shot from the Duro ship directly at the lead Vex vessel. For a terrible moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the lead Vex ship's energy buildup faltered, its weapon powered down. The other two ships began moving erratically, as if confused by contradictory instructions. It worked. Some men shouted. The Duro commander immediately ordered, "Target their propulsion systems while they're disoriented." The Duro ship moved swiftly, firing precise shots at each Vex vessel's engines. Without coordination, the Vex couldn't respond effectively. Within minutes, all three enemy ships were drifting, disabled but not destroyed. Mai Jung nodded. The Alliance had spent months evaluating Earth, learning everything they could about human civilization, the good and the bad. "Are they concerned about our divisions?" Mai Jung asked. "Our history of war?" "No," Ril answered. "All species have such histories. What matters is your capacity to overcome them." The Alliance overseer, a being of a species called the Eldar, rose from the central position. Its voice was translated simultaneously into all Alliance languages, including Earth's major tongues. "Representatives of Earth," the overseer began, "you stand at a threshold. For thousands of years, your people have looked to the stars and wondered if you were alone. Today, you take your place among the stellar community." Mai Jung stepped forward as rehearsed. "We come with open minds and hopeful hearts," she said, reciting the carefully crafted words that Earth's nations had agreed upon. "Before we complete this ceremony," the overseer continued, "I must ask, why does Earth wish to join the Alliance? What do you believe you can contribute?" This wasn't part of the rehearsed ceremony. Mai Jung glanced back at her companions, seeing their surprise. She would need to answer from her heart. "We are young," she said after a moment. "Compared to most of you, we are children. We have much to learn. But perhaps that is our greatest strength." She stepped closer to the center of the chamber. "We see patterns where others see chaos. We find hope in desperate situations. We adapt and survive. These are human traits that we now offer to the Alliance." Mai Jung gestured to her companions. Jin Ho created communication where language failed. He Yun found cooperation where competition seemed inevitable. Sung Min understood alien technology through human intuition. Du Hyun recognized patterns in enemy behavior that had gone unnoticed for years. She faced the overseer directly. "We don't bring the most advanced technology or the strongest weapons. We bring a new perspective, a different way of thinking. And most importantly, we bring our humanity, our creativity, our passion, our determination to build a better future." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then the overseer spoke again. "This is why Earth was chosen," it said. "Not for your technology, which is primitive by our standards. Not for your resources, which are common throughout the galaxy. But for your unique perspective, your unpredictability, your humanity." The overseer gestured to the empty seat. "Take your place, Ambassador Mai Jung of Earth." As Mai Jung walked to the 13th seat, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. She was not just representing her country or even her planet. She was representing humanity itself, its potential, and its promise. When she sat down, the circle was complete. The overseer raised its arms, and the ceiling of the chamber became transparent, revealing the stars beyond. "The Alliance is strengthened today," the overseer declared. "Earth joins our community not as a junior partner to be protected, but as an equal with unique contributions to make." Later, as the Earth delegation prepared to return to their quarters, Ril approached Mai Jung privately. "There is something you should know," the alien said. "The Vex attack was not random." Mai Jung frowned. "What do you mean?" "The Council suspected the Vex might follow us to Earth. It was not entirely unexpected." "You mean we were tested?" Mai Jung asked, feeling the surge of anger. "Earth was put at risk deliberately." Ril made a gesture that Jin Ho had taught her meant something like regret. "Not deliberately, But the council needed to know how humans would respond to a real crisis, not just to controlled challenges. Mai Jung considered this information carefully. "I should be outraged," she finally said. "But I understand the reasoning. You needed to know if we could handle the reality of joining your alliance. And you proved more capable than any expected," Rill said. "The way your people came together, the solutions you found, it confirmed what some of us already believed about humans." "And what is that?" Mai Jung asked. "That you are exactly what the Alliance needs to survive what is coming." Mai Jung looked out at the stars, thinking about Earth below and the vast universe beyond. Humanity had always dreamed of reaching the stars. Now they were here, not as conquerors or explorers, but as partners in something greater than themselves. "Whatever comes next," she said quietly, "we'll face it together." As night fell on Earth below, lights from cities sparkled like reflections of the stars above. For the first time in human history, people looked up at the night sky knowing they were not alone, and that they had found their place among the stars.